Did you know that everything in the Old Testament ultimately leads up to Jesus in the New Testament? When God said in the Garden of Eden to Eve to not eat from the tree of the forbidden knowledge of good and evil, for the day that they eat of it, they will both surely die. And of course, after the fall of man, he said to the serpent, I will put enmity between you and the woman and her offspring. He will crush your head and you will bruise his heel. That was basically God telling Satan that he would be in an endless war, the offspring of Mary, Jesus. Satan bruised Jesus' heel through the crucifixion, through his persecution, and through his death. And Jesus crushed his head through his resurrection. When Satan thought that day was evil's ultimate triumph, then when he rose again on the third day, revealed that God was always completely in control, and the very plan that Satan was serving was God's ultimate plan for reconciliation, mankind, God the Father. And this was shown because in Genesis, God said that the penalty for sin is death. And when sin and death entered into the world, the blood of the unblemished lamb, this was ultimately foreshadowing Jesus Christ, the ultimate sacrifice, the unblemished Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. For it is written, we are saved by grace through faith in Jesus Christ alone, not of our own works of anything that we have done, because God is love. He has everything he needs, and yet he still wants us. He numbers every single hair on our head, and we were worth his son incarnating into human form, suffering death and rising again on the third day. That alone shows how precious and significant we are in the grand scheme of things. Satan goes into great lengths to convince us that we are worthless, that we are defined by our worst mistakes and worst moments in life, by our addictions, when we choose a fleeting distraction or fleeting pleasure or false idol over God. The enemy wants us to think that we are damaged goods, that we are too beyond forgiveness. But the thing is, God isn't like a stern father waiting to give us a beating when we come back to him. It's shown in the prodigal son, when the son squandered all of his inheritance on prostitutes. When he came back to his father with a contrite and repentant heart, his father ran up to him, threw his arms around him with tears, robed him, and celebrated a great feast for him because his wayward son who was dead had returned to him. And that's how God is with all of us. The shepherd goes out in search of the one sheep who went astray, leaving the 100 behind, and he is so joyful bringing that sheep back. There is more joy in heaven over one repentant sinner than over 100 righteous people. We were bought and paid for by the blood of the Son of the Most High. We are more significant, more special than we realize. And because we were bought at a great price, we shouldn't squander on a single lifetime of separation from God, of the distractions, the pleasures of this world, because all of it is fleeting. This life is a grain of sand compared to the entire desert of eternity, and it is not worth our eternal inheritance for. Sold it for a bowl of red lentil stew and bread. That fleeting hunger cost him. When we try to do things our way, it always leads to ruin. King Saul in the Old Testament, who instead of trusting God and seeking him, he consulted a medium. Doing things his way cost him his kingship. Judas Iscariot, when he chose greed, when he chose silver over Jesus Christ, he sold his eternal inheritance with Jesus. And what is that 30 pieces of silver in our life? What do we constantly trade God for?